Well, today, the talk of the town at the Saints game and after the Saints game, when I threw out my first alert and my alerts indicating that we would likely have a storm, if not a hurricane in the Gulf, making landfall in 3 to 3.5 days. Well, looks like it may come to fruition. Get ready. I'm going to go through every forecast model with indications as well as impacts. Right now, the latest north-northwest at 5 movement. Here it is in the Gulf. It's moving very slowly, if not slightly west of due north, about 320 south-southeast of the mouth of the Rio Grande, and again is moving northward, and eventually we do expect it by this time tomorrow to become Tropical Storm Francine with winds at 60, and then as it moves north, you'll notice by 7 o'clock up to 70. Now you're saying, well, why doesn't it just continue to move off into areas of Texas? I'm going to show you why in just a moment, where it kind of rounds the coast over the next 3 days. As we put it into motion by 7 a.m., if not sooner, Category 1 could see winds of 80 miles per hour. And then as we move in to 7 o'clock on the evening of Wednesday, you'll notice that making a landfall near Lake Charles. Now, earlier, and the earlier forecast was a bit farther off to the west by about 30 miles. Now it's shifted a bit farther east. So Lake Charles, Alexandria, Lafayette, that not far away, and Baton Rouge. And you'll notice in the margin of error, we have got Thibodaux, Houma, Morgan City in that margin of error. So if the line even shifts another 50 to 70 miles eastward, the impacts here would be much greater. If there's any good news to this storm, it is going to zip on out of here. We're going to see a trough moving it out. So from 7 o'clock Wednesday to 7 o'clock Thursday, it's already approaching Memphis, Tennessee. So if it moves out quickly, yes, we'll get a big punch of wind and rain and tidal surge, but fortunately, it looks like it won't last that long. Why won't it go into Mexico or Texas? There's a good reason. We always have to look at the upper winds and steering. Right now, we have a pretty dominant high. You can see all the clouds kind of wrapping around it. This high is going to continue to keep this system moving off to the north-northwest as it is, but notice it doesn't move into Texas or Mexico. It kind of rounds the ridge and moves into southwest Louisiana. Now, 2 systems show the potential of either a westward or eastward landfall. And the reason is because if this high builds northwest, likely it would move in closer to the line toward Houston. If it moves farther south and east, likely a bit closer to the river parishes, bayou parishes, and possibly not far from New Orleans. Now here it is, just a very broad area. Remember we had that low that brought the rain yesterday, that shifted south. That is now being pretty much absorbed by this main system. We call that Fujiwara, where we have 2 systems that kind of dance around, and the stronger one absorbs the one that is weakest, and that's what's happening now. As you can see the last few hours, we do have kind of a big pulse of thunderstorms potentially developing a center in the next 12 hours. GFS, European, some of the better models we use a slew of models, but the GFS and European are almost right on point with each other, and that gives us better confidence of tracking. Now, even though we don't have a center, we will get more information as hurricane hunters, as well as a center develops tomorrow. But by Wednesday, it's going to be basically just to the southeast of Galveston, making that round around that ridge into parts of south central Louisiana. Look at the European, almost identical, taking it off to the northwest, off of Brownsville by Wednesday, and by Thursday, it moves into areas farther eastward toward Lafayette or Lake Charles, or potentially even closer to New Orleans. Take a look at the models. The models, once again, have shifted a little bit farther off to the east, where earlier they were more so here. Now they've taken a shift about 25 to 35 miles eastward. We don't want to see that trend continuing. Here's our high-resolution graph model that we get here at Fox 8. And during the day tomorrow, into tomorrow night, this is 10:30, this time tomorrow night, likely we're beginning to see a center form as it moves off to the north. And then as we move into Tuesday morning, into Tuesday evening, this thing really tightens up. As you can see, potentially a very strong tropical storm, if not Category 1 hurricane. And what I don't like what I'm seeing is that we may not see as much shear as the Hurricane Center is looking at. I hope we do, because it would be weaker. But notice when you see these areas in these round circles, those are isobars, lines of equal pressure. The tighter packed they are, the stronger the winds. And notice this model takes it basically into Lafourche and Terrebonne, moving it northward over the bayou parishes, river parishes, and the North Shore. Is that set in stone? No, it's not. Tomorrow you have time to get around the house into Tuesday, pick up stuff around the house and Again, they can become missiles if we get winds and gusting up to 30, 50, 60 miles per hour. Here comes our storm system, and this is our latest. And the last image we got is 10 o'clock Wednesday, not that far from Lafourche and Terrebonne and western areas, St. Charles, St. John, and notice the eastern side, that's the worst side. Strong winds, lots of rain, and also squally conditions. What about winds up to 39 or greater, tropical storm force? You'll notice that we're beginning to see more on the higher end westward, but if that shifts, we could easily see power outages, flood threat, not an issue tomorrow, but as we move into late Tuesday, into Wednesday, into Thursday, and early Friday, we could certainly see some of that heavy rain finally pulling off to the east by late week. But Wednesday, Thursday is a time frame. As far as rainfall, I'll let this play on through. This is all the way through Wednesday at 1:30 in the morning. Through the afternoon, we could see some areas up to 4 to 6 inches, isolated up to 10, as this graphic does show. So we will have to pay attention as far as wind and rain. First alert, putting it out Tuesday night through Thursday morning. This is going to be, that's the time we really need to pay attention where the storm system likely moves in. So for now, we're seeing it spin off the coast just to the southeast of Brownsville, and clouds are already building in. Tomorrow, not much rain, but late Tuesday into Wednesday and early Thursday, it's prime time, and that's when it'll be on. Upper 70s, low 80s around the area. Humidity, today a gorgeous day, not that bad. Tailgating for the Saints game was great. A light north wind at about 5 to 10. Here's that 7-day forecast. Rain likely coming in later Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, watching the Gulf. High rain chance, gusty winds and squalls. Friday morning, everything begins to move out. Right now, I'm planning for a decent weekend at this point, and before I go, evacuation. People are calling and saying, what do I do? A Category 1, 90% of us are fine. You can stay. If you live in a mobile home, a structure that's not sturdy, you need to leave, as well as coastal flooding. If you live near the coast or areas prone to flooding, you need to also leave. And if you need electricity, some of the winds could knock out electricity. If you have special needs, maybe a breathing machine or anything special needs as far as any illness that you need electricity for, you need to also pay attention to that. But for now, Category 1, most of us are likely able to stay home, but you know your own situation, so make that decision. Stay right there. Fox 8 Sports is coming up right after the break.